The Lord was with Joseph. 4 times in this chapter, the narrator says it, as if we might forget, as if we might look at the circumstances slavery, false accusation, prison and conclude that God had abandoned the dreamer. He had not. The presence of God runs like a current beneath everything that happens in Genesis 39. Even when everything goes wrong, something is going right. Joseph has been sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. The boy who wore the coat of favor, who dreamed of sheaves bowing and stars falling at his feet, is now property in an Egyptian household. But even in slavery, Joseph rises. Potiphar notices that the Lord is with this Hebrew servant. Everything Joseph touches prospers. The fields produce, the household thrives. Potiphar doesn't worship the Lord, he's an Egyptian, surrounded by his own gods. But he can see the results. He can recognize blessing even if he doesn't know its source. So Potiphar promotes him. He puts everything he owns under Joseph's care. The slave becomes the manager. The foreign captive runs the house. This is the strange arithmetic of faithfulness. Joseph didn't choose to be in Egypt. He didn't choose slavery. But once he was there, he worked as if it mattered. He served as if his service had dignity. And God honored it, not by rescuing Joseph from slavery, but by prospering him within it. Sometimes that's how blessing works. Not deliverance from the pit, but favor inside the pit. Joseph was handsome. The narrator mentions it almost casually, but it matters. He's young, he's capable, he's running the household, and he catches the eye of Potiphar's wife. Day after day, she propositions him. The invitation is blunt, repeated, relentless. She doesn't give up. She waits for opportunities. She even creates them. And day after day, Joseph refuses. His reasoning is remarkable. He doesn't claim he's not tempted. He doesn't lecture her about her own morality. He says 2 things. This would betray Potiphar, the man who trusted him with everything, and, more fundamentally, this would be sin against God. In a foreign land, surrounded by foreign gods, enslaved by a foreign master, Joseph still knows who he belongs to. The morality of Egypt doesn't bind him. The Lord's commands do. She won't stop. Day after day, the text says, the pressure is constant. The temptation isn't a single moment of weakness to survive. It's an ongoing campaign to endure. Joseph does what he can. He refuses to be alone with her. He creates distance, knowing that proximity is danger. But then comes the day when no one else is in the house. She grabs his garment. Joseph does the only thing he can do. He runs. He leaves his cloak in her hand and flees outside. This is what integrity looks like when you're out of options. You don't negotiate. You don't explain. You run. You leave behind whatever you have to leave behind. Your cloak, your dignity, your appearance of composure, and you get out. Joseph loses his garment, but he keeps his integrity. And now she has evidence. Fabric in her hand, proof that Joseph was there, that something happened, that her story has physical corroboration. She tells the servants first, and then Potiphar. The Hebrew servant you brought came to assault me, and when I cried out, he fled, leaving his garment behind. Notice the spin. The Hebrew servant you brought. She distances herself from Joseph, positions herself as victim, and uses his abandoned cloak as proof of his guilt. This is the second time a garment has destroyed Joseph's life. His father gave him a coat of many colors. His brothers stripped it off, dipped it in blood, and used it to convince Jacob that Joseph was dead. Now Potiphar's wife holds Joseph's cloak and uses it to convince her husband that Joseph is guilty. Garments keep testifying against him. Fabric keeps telling lies. Potiphar throws Joseph into prison, the place where the king's prisoners are kept. The punishment seems light for attempted rape of a nobleman's wife. A slave who assaulted his master's wife would typically be executed. Maybe Potiphar suspected the truth. Maybe he knew his wife's character. Maybe he was angry at the situation more than at Joseph. The text doesn't say. It just reports that Joseph was put in prison. From favorite son to slave, from successful manager to inmate, the trajectory keeps going down. But then the narrator says it again. The Lord was with Joseph. Even in prison, even in the dungeon, even after doing the right thing led to punishment instead of reward. God showed him steadfast love and gave him favor with the prison keeper. The same pattern repeats. Joseph rises, takes responsibility, prospers. Different setting, same faithfulness, same favor. The location changed, but God's presence did not. This is the scandal of the chapter. Joseph did everything right. He honored his master. He refused temptation. He fled from sin. He maintained his integrity when no one was watching, when it would have been easy to give in, when the powerful woman had all the leverage. And his reward was prison. The world tells us that virtue pays, that good people prosper, that right choices lead to right outcomes. Genesis 39 tells a different story. Joseph made the right choice, and Joseph went to prison. Both things are true. But so is this. The Lord was with him. In Potiphar's house, where he served, in Potiphar's wife's grip, where he fled, in Pharaoh's prison, where he waited. The circumstances changed. The presence remained. That's what faithfulness looks like when the outcomes don't cooperate. You keep your integrity. You trust the presence. You wait for a deliverance you can't yet see. Here's what I think we're meant to savor from this passage. First, God's presence doesn't mean easy circumstances. The Lord was with Joseph in slavery and in prison. Presence isn't protection from suffering, it's companionship within it. Second, integrity will cost you. Joseph did the right thing and went to prison for it. Sometimes the reward for faithfulness is a false accusation and a locked door. Third, run when you need to run. Joseph didn't negotiate with temptation. When she grabbed his garment, he fled. There's no shame in running. Sometimes running is the only victory available. If you're suffering for doing the right thing, if your integrity has cost you instead of rewarded you, this passage says you're in good company. Joseph walked that road first. If you're facing relentless temptation, if the pressure comes day after day, this passage says keep refusing. Joseph didn't win by being strong enough. He won by being consistent enough. And if you're in a prison you don't deserve, if injustice has locked you somewhere you never should have been, this passage says the Lord is with you there too. He was with Joseph in the cell. The pit is not the end of the story. Next time on Eat This Book, 2 prisoners, 2 dreams, 1 restored, 1 executed, and Joseph gets it exactly right. Finally, a way out, or so it seems. Join me in Genesis 40 as hope rises. A promise is made, and then it's forgotten. Thanks for eating with me. Until next time, may the word dwell in you richly.